So do you know what this is? And these? I think this is the most useful accessory for your cross stitching, but fair warning, it might also be a potential new stash addiction. Hi there Stitchy friends, I'm Kat from Catkin and Lily, bringing you all the best tips, tricks and tutorials so you can get the most joy from your stitching. So this pretty little thing is a needle minder, or I've also heard them called needle nannies. You can do perfectly well without one, but once you've had one, you'll likely wonder how you ever did without it. So needle minders are made from two magnetic parts. You have a lovely decorative front piece, and that has an integral magnet on the back, and another small magnet that can be separated. They basically do what the name suggests and give you a safe place for your needle to stay put when you're not using it. So you can see that's not going to fall off. Because there are lots of moments during a stitching session, such as when you're changing colours or cutting a new length of thread, that you just need somewhere to put your needle down briefly. And I can tell you that in your clothes, the arm of your sofa, or even your mouth, is not always a safe place to do that. Now, popping it in the corner of your fabric like this is the safest place, but that takes so much more time and effort than just dropping it on a needle minder. So you need to decide where you're going to put your needle minder while you're stitching. And there are a few options. The classic is to put it on your fabric. And this works really well if you use a hoop to stitch with, but less good if you stitch in hand, because they can be a bit heavy for this. So the other option I like to use is that you can put it on your paper pattern. And doing this is the same as if you want to put it onto your hoop. You separate the small magnet at the back, pop your needle minder where you want it, and place the magnet on the back. So now that's attached. So I like this option. You could also put it on your clothing, like an awesome pin badge, or you can even just place it on the arm of the sofa, and I find this works really well, although there is a slight risk of it sliding off. Now, where you put it might also depend on what your needle minder's made from. All the ones I've got here are metal, but I've also seen them made from plastic, clay or wood. Now, small lightweight wooden ones might even be okay on fabric while stitching in hand, but might be less good just placed on the arm of a sofa, whereas I find these fairly large heavy metal ones do stay put fairly easily. So as I've said, these are fab just for popping your needle down to keep it out of the way while you swap threads, but you could also use them for threaded needles. So either if you've got a needle that you just want to come back to because you know you're going to use that colour again in a moment, or even a thread that's actually in use and you again just want to pop it out of the way to come back to. Now you can also put multiple needles on your needle minder, so you can actually get several on here. If I do, I put them at different angles, otherwise it can get quite difficult to pick them off if they can all kind of clump together, but you can do it. Now, there are a couple of things to watch out for with needle minders. Firstly, there is the small possibility of some needle minders marking the fabric, so if you're going to do it like this, you want to make sure that that isn't going to mark the fabric. Now, usually that's only a problem if they're ceramic type magnets, and even then not all ceramic magnets will do this. You'll find that the really good strong magnets are made from neodymium or rare earth metals, and that's usually what it is if the magnet's shiny like this one. Now, ceramic magnets aren't used as much because they're not as strong a magnet as, say, the neodymium ones, and they tend to be chunkier and dark coloured, so that's why they can sometimes mark the fabric. If you're in any doubt, don't put it on your fabric, maybe put it on your pattern instead, or test it out by putting it on a scrap of fabric and leaving it for a bit to see what happens. The second thing to note is that the magnets can actually be so strong that they can shatter if they snap together too violently, so you do have to be a little bit careful with them. They are better if they're coated, but generally what I try and do is slide the sections apart to take it off. It's much easier than trying to lift it up if you just slide the magnet off, and try not to allow, when you put the small piece back on again, not to let it slam into it from a great distance. Put it nice and close before you let it attach. I don't know whether you can see on this one, I have actually got just a little tiny chip out of that one, which was probably happened when I was being slightly less careful with it. Now, the upside of the lovely strong magnet is, of course, as I showed you earlier, that once my needle's on the front, you can see how easily I can shake that, and that is not going to fall off of there. So there's no risk of it dropping off. But this does lead to another problem, but this might just be me, because I get a little bit lazy and over-reliant on how good my needle minder is. So I'll often just kind of throw my needle towards the needle minder, expecting it to grab it. And yes, it usually does pretty much work, but you can see you end up with it sometimes at a bit of an odd angle. And yes, I have lost my needle a few times because I threw a bit indiscriminately. Now, no matter how well your needle minder holds onto your needle, I would still not recommend leaving your needle on there when you store your project away at the end of a stitching session. Just in case it does get knocked off, or you forget it's on there, and stab yourself when getting your project back out for the next session. Ouch! So at the end of each session, I go back to just popping my needle into the corner of my fabric. And the final problem, that's not really a problem, is choosing one from the thousands of amazing designs available. So you may find yourself building a collection, as I have, and I just have a few here. But they do make great gifts. You can choose one to suit the project that you're working on. I have a lovely Christmas one here. And they don't take up much space. So do you already love needle minders? If so, tell me how big is your collection? And if this is all new to you, then definitely give one a try and let me know what you think of it. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for lots more stitchy tips and tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and happy stitching.